Why do we build homes? Is a school social studies question. And the textbook answer is to protect us from rain, sun, and wild animals. Really? From wild animals? In urban centers? The real reason exposes ourselves and our duplicity. Besides rain and sun, we build houses to protect ourselves from fellow human beings. On a larger scale, at the national level, we erect walls, have barbed wires, and have standing armies owing to the threat perception from neighboring nations. This week we heard that the global defense expenditure had crossed, for the first time, $2 trillion. It's a business boom in the distrust sector. When the coronavirus had quarantined the whole world for about 2 years, one thought we had enough time to introspect on the fleeting nature of life and how senseless it is to have a violent existence during the short time that we have here on planet Earth. Seems we haven't changed one bit. In fact, we've grown even more distrustful of others. The Swedish think tank, the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, SIPRI, has put global defense expenditure in 2021 at $2.1 trillion, the highest ever. This despite national GDP shrinking owing to the COVID setback. Pandemic or no pandemic, we just can't stop fighting others. And this is the 7th straight year that global defense expenditure is growing. Predictably, global policeman, the US, is the biggest spender in 2021 with a defense expenditure of $801 billion. For context, that's 38% of the world's total defense spending and more than a fourth of India's total GDP size. China comes a far second with $293 billion of defense spending in 2021. What's special about that? 3 things. 1, that's almost exactly 1/10 of India's total GDP size. 2, it's 14% of the world's total defense spending. And 3, this is the 27th straight year that China's defense expenditure has grown. Certainly the Hindi Chini bye-bye days sound so ancient. India is third on the list with $77 billion of defense spending in 2021. Forget for a moment that we believe in peace and non-violence and swear by ahimsa. And the next 2 on the list are the UK with $68 billion and Russia with $66 billion. Together, these 5 nations account for 62% of the world's total defense spending. What are the prospects for more peaceful days ahead? No pointers to that effect this week. Look at the world's headlines this week. Biden proposes $33 billion aid to Ukraine. Package includes $20 billion in military assistance. Xi's global security initiative looks to counter Quad grouping. New gang fighting in Haiti kills 20, displaces thousands. Russia strikes Kyiv during UN chief's visit. And Kim threatens preemptive use of nuclear weapons. I asked former Indian ambassador and a former Indian permanent representative to the UN, T.P. Srinivasan, how grave the times are and whether the situation points to a failure of diplomacy in general.
This time, after the Ukraine war, Germany was the first one to almost double its defense expenditure, I understand.
I see.
And that is certainly an emergency measure because they feel insecure. As far as failure of diplomacy is concerned, there is no such evidence that diplomacy has failed. But generally, the fact that Putin is so aggressive and Europe's future is in question, and therefore it's only natural that all of them will try to increase defense expenditure and defend themselves.
Srinivasan also draws our attention to the Doomsday Clock.
So, but the present situation certainly will lead to additional defense expenditure virtually everywhere because there is a threat of war looming on the horizon. So at the moment, the famous Doomsday Clock has moved closer to midnight in the last few days.
Okay. Because
of these various nuclear threats, etc.
In a world that is enamored by aggressive and authoritarian leaderships, missiles, submarines, and nuclear warheads will naturally be on the shopping list of leaders. So much so that even the very relevance of nations has come to hinge on the level of military spending. So this week, British economist and columnist Roger Bootle wrote in The Telegraph, Britain cannot remain a military power while spending so little on defense. In a world so steeped in aggression and distrust, the words of Japanese manga artist Hiro Mashima stand out. If peace can only come through killing someone, then I don't want it. This video salutes two Chennai-based IT companies, KissFlow and Ideas to IT. KissFlow gifted BMWs to 5 of its employees, and Ideas to IT gave away cars to 100 of its staff. Two companies that have walked the talk about sharing corporate prosperity with employees. May their tribe increase.